This is an empty hive, and I'm going to use it to demonstrate how a hive is made up. A hive is basically just a cavity. The bees will nest in any cavity, in a tree or anything like that. They don't need a hive, but we persuade them to live in a hive for our convenience, so we can look at the combs more easily. So it consists of a pile of boxes on a floor and with a roof. So let's take the roof off. And we have an inner cover board just to protect the top layer. A box simply consists of a cavity with a number of wooden frames into which we put a sheet of beeswax impressed with the bases of the cells. The critical thing is what's called the bee space. In a natural cavity, the bees will fill any big space with comb, and any tiny space they will fill with glue called propolis that they collect from trees. So if these frames are too far away from the walls of the hive, they'd fill it with comb and you wouldn't be able to get the frames out. If they're too close to the walls of the hive, they'd fill it with glue and you still wouldn't be able to get the combs out. You need to keep that spacing at about 1/4 of an inch, and then they do neither, and it means you can lift the combs in and out. So that's the top box where we store honey. As the season goes on, we hope they will fill that, and I will add another box and another box and another box and get more and more honey stored in there. Take that off. We don't really want the queen laying eggs up here, because then you'll get, they use the same cells for storing honey and for storing pollen for that matter, and also for rearing new brood. You want to keep the brood out of where you're going to take the honey. So underneath the honey supers, as we call them, we have a sheet of metal like this, or a bit of wires, with accurate spacing at size slots. The queen has a bigger thorax than the worker bees. The thorax is the middle of the 3 sections of the bees. This is so dimensioned that the worker bees can get through, but the queen cannot. Finally, underneath the brood box, we have a floor. We used to use solid floors, but since varroa became a problem here, we now use mesh floors, so that the varroa mites that fall off bees, and they do fall off, will fall through the mesh floor onto the ground and therefore die on the ground. So we're going to go into the hive, and remember that the top box is for storage of honey and the bottom box is where the queen will be laying. This is a small hive, so a lot of the frames will be empty, but it will enable us to see what's going on quite well. Now the first thing is that if you just open the hive, you're attacking the bees home, and they will respond by coming out to attack you. So the first thing you do is subdue them by puffing smoke into the entrance, or actually it's easier now, I puff it underneath the mesh floor. I'm going to go straight into the bottom box. This, remember, is where the honey is stored, and I'm going to leave that for a moment. Take that off to one side. Here's the queen excluder, keeping the queen below with the next one. You'll notice I'm pulling it out slowly, and that's because bees respond to movement. And here we've got the queen on this side. I've painted a white spot on her, and I'm pointing can you see the white spot? And you see she's got a longer abdomen than the workers. And she's actually got slightly longer legs. She stands slightly higher off the comb. Queens only mate when they're hatched. The queen takes a few days to mature. She then mates. She may mate with a dozen drones. She does not mate again for the rest of her life, which can go on for 5 years. If the colony is strong, the first queen to hatch may also go out with another swarm. We call it a cast, a secondary swarm. Now she's now a virgin queen, so she's not a mated queen. It means she's going to be longer before that colony can start laying, because the old queen can start laying again quite quickly. And that may happen 2 or 3 times, but eventually the colony is weak enough. The next queen that hatches is allowed to go round and kill all her rivals that are still in cells.